To the Ministry of Health.
Through the COVID.
Yes. The Ministry of Health, in the appropriation for a facility under the Food and Drug Service for local manufacturing of vaccines, biovaccine. And it is in connection with the COVID-19 intervention program.
And
I hope that is the connection that the appropriation, 2020 appropriation amendment that was made was for COVID-19 intervention, 10 billion. Now, we do not have a memorandum of understanding in that respect, but we have a memorandum of understanding between the Ministry of Health and Biovaccine Nigeria Limited, not in connection with COVID-19 vaccine manufacturing. That money has not been spent. We do not have a partner for that manufacturing yet. We are still looking for partners who will give us the technology transfer, but at the same time, there is a local, that's to say local, when I say local, I mean domestic initiative to produce a homegrown vaccine which has reached the stage where it is ready to begin clinical trial. But research and development is different from production, from manufacturing. So that particular initiative is still in the academic phase. I'm announcing that because we might also hear that we have additional vaccine, but that vaccine is it still has to start the clinical trial phase, where the safety and efficacy will be tested. But the appropriation is directed exactly towards manufacturing. And your distinguished senators, that partnership, that manufacturing, since we do not have the technology, that manufacturing has to be in collaboration with a group or a company that has the technology. And that negotiation is something that still has to take place for that money to be utilized. So as I speak to you, it is intact, and there has been no MOU in its respect. That's it.
Distinguished Chairman, I think what we are having, the background to buy a vaccine was that we have Nigeria has been producing vaccines in the years past. So the federal ministry, or the federal government, federal ministry of health, realized that we need to go back and certificate that facility. So it was then that a private sector was engaged. That's Bayer Baker. A joint venture vehicles was incorporated with the name Biovaccine Nigeria Limited. And the equity was that the plants in Yaba, owned by the federal government, through the Department of Food and Drugs, should form part of the federal government equity to Bayer and Baker. And Bayer and Baker will now bring technical capacity and technical know-how in reviving their plants. And the ratio, equity ratio was 51 to Bayer and Baker and 49 to federal government. Then when this COVID started, you all know that the 2020 budget was recalled, an amendment was done, and the 500 billion money was pulled from various MDAs. Specifically, 126 billion was earmarked to health sector. So it was out of the health sector, that health sector budget of 126 billion. The chair of ad hoc committee on COVID-19 committee now engaged the ministry that this is an opportunity for us to revive that legacy of vaccine production in the country. So the 10 billion, initially it was 5 billion that they are talking about. Then they said, apart from the plant in Yaba, there is need to have another plant up country for ease of logistics and ease of distribution. That's why the money was jacked up to 10 billion, with the hope that another plant would be sited somewhere in Abuja or within the proximity of this. So that was so specifically that money was not meant for vaccine acquisition. It was not meant for COVID-19 vaccine acquisition. It was meant for vaccine, local manufacture of vaccine in the country. And this MOU that we are having, it was made based on the spirit of the plant in Yaba is the government participation, and of course the government goodwill and the promise of patronage. Because hitherto now, most of the vaccine that we use for children immunization are sourced through the agency, that's the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, through international partners. So we hope that when that plant comes into operation, most of the vaccines that are used for children's immunization will now be sourced from this company after a certain period of time. So to answer your question, that 10 billion was in no way meant for vaccine, COVID-19 vaccine acquisition or procurement.
It means that the contradiction between what we hear.
Yes.
There's a contradiction.
Yes.
What Minister is saying here
is for COVID.
Is for COVID production.
And then
so it's just like the thing. So
hold on. Let's take it one by one. Sorry, sir. Thank you, Pamsek. Let's go back on that memorandum and based on what you said now. Bio-vaccine, that is the bio-vaccine is Nigeria and the Baker. Baker had a commitment under that MOU to revamp, to bring technical distance. Have they mixed their own part of the component? Before Nigeria is now bringing, that's number one. Number two, is there in that place, that's the question you have asked, which has not been answered, that Nigeria will bring in money to give bio-vaccine? And it was not there. So now that will now bring me where I'm going. Why are we now putting down money? Why are we giving 10 billion to buy vaccine? Now, because it's not in the MOU, bio-vaccine has not as at now, based on our knowledge, and we can visit Lagos, meet its own part of that agreement of revamping but before we talk anything. So as far as that's why we are here, and that's what is the Nigerian money. So we are very concerned about this money being released for that, because there are three things. Let me clarify for Nigeria. What that thing says talk about supply, which is like procurement. And we had information, we had letters written to us, where Nigeria is trying to give certain these things to M&B, where they now went to get Novavax, or is it Novartis or so, to be able to bring vaccines instead of the way NPCD is procuring now. Two, bio-vaccines, that is the company, the M&B part of it, is yet to meet its own obligation under that instance. Why are we putting our national money into that? So that's the question we want from the ministry. Why are we putting 10 billion? We understand that we want to revamp. So, and this, if the M&B has not met its own obligation, why are we putting national money?
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, sir.
Allow him to answer this.
Thank you.
Allow him.
Okay.
Allow him, you come back. Just let him do this.
What I specifically also emphasized at that briefing is that this is not for R&D. It is also not for the clinical trials, because it says manufacturing. Manufacturing is a process. Manufacturing begins with the plant that is making it. The rest is laboratory. So I did emphasize that it's only manufacturing. Now, but may I continue? The question of manufacturing, at that time, my mind went to any kind of vaccine, including COVID vaccine. And the fact that it's not a vaccine, that's when I started when I started here, that if it's going to be a partnership, we will have to have technical partners for it, which bio-vaccine will have to bring. And if the memorandum of understanding says supply, government will now be able to use or acquire the product of that manufacturing between bio-vaccine and the technical partner.
Sorry. Okay, Chairman, sir. So, Honorable Minister, I think we have to have another meeting. One, we don't have a clear copy of that memorandum. We will look at it, but from what the PAMSEC has explained, we've got the gist of it, but we have it on record. But two, we are still putting it to you that that memorandum that we are standing on now expected, as at the time it was signed, for bio-vaccines to do certain things. As we speak, they have not done it. Have they?
Well, that's the question I want the member of the board.
Sorry, we are not asking you because the Honorable Minister, he reports to you. So you we report to you. What was the report submitted to you? Two, that memorandum of understanding did not cover what we want to use the money for. It didn't permit us to use that money. Because they are, I mean, you have a partner who did not meet his own obligation. You are now overboard and giving public money to that. That is, I mean, it's not the kind of PPP that I want to talk about. So we need, the third one is, sir, this 10 billion is just given to you. With due respect for what you are giving us, you don't have a specific detailed plan for it. And our decision for now, which I will come out to move, is that you can't spend it. We'll put it, we'll write it, until when you provide us with a satisfactory answer. And then we will want, when you provide us the details, then we invite all necessary persons to go back and say, we'll read that one. But based on what we've had now, you don't have a detailed plan. That's my submission.
Chairman, the Honorable Minister, you say once the appropriation bill comes from Mr. President and it goes through the whole processes and it's passed, it becomes law. There is no way in the ministry you can tinker with the law different from what we passed, without amending it. You cannot amend the act passed by this. This is law. So you can't just change it. Are reading supply there. In the memorandum of sign, you are talking about supply. You went to the PTF meeting, announced you are producing COVID-19 vaccines. We come back here, we are talking about N10bn, how to do that. This is total, and then during the budget debate, we asked specific questions. When we came to this 10 billion, I remember, even during the revision of the 2020 budget, we said we want detailed information on this.
We said it.
So that you never provided us that. So we are now saying that in the subsequent meeting we are going to call, you are going to provide some detailed information about this that we demanded ab initio. Let us have that so that we have it at the back of our mind. Then you give us the memorandum of understanding. We'll look at it. So we'll be on the same page with you and know what is there. Then we come back to the issue of the usage of this thing that is the money, the provision in the budget. How are we going to do it for this local manufacturing? These are the things that we need, this committee need to do, the National Assembly Committee on Health need to have so that we can move. So we don't want to mislead anybody. We don't want to mislead Nigerians, and we don't want just to go and do cock and bull story. We want Nigeria to take us serious for everything we are doing as far as is concerned with the fight against COVID-19. So nobody will be misled. That's the essence of this meeting that we are calling. Because after your submissions and your weekly PTF business, media started asking us questions, direct questions. They came here, were asking us, this is how are you doing this? How are you not doing that?
Producing?
So we don't, and we looked at the law we passed. We different from what you are saying, and we felt maybe you have another source of income different from the one we budgeted here that you are operating with, so that you can do the COVID manufacturing. We didn't. This is talking about vaccine, not COVID-19 vaccine production. So all this confusion are there, have already in the public space, and we feel that we need to correct this. And starting with it, like my colleagues have already said, give us information. The one we demanded when we started with the revision of the 2020 budget, we haven't got that. Let us have everything about it. As a representative, those information will be given to us. We study them.
We write finance as well.
And then the issue of the memorandum of understanding, for whatever it means and whatever it portends for the country. Let us have it and look at it properly so that we know whether we are doing supply or we are manufacturing. So these are the issues that we have to present before you here. And all these things we are doing here, is anchored on the Section 88
of the Constitution.
of the 1999 Constitution as amended. And I read for you. Subject to the provisions of this Constitution, each House of the National Assembly shall have power by resolution published in its journal in the official gazette of the government of the Federation to direct or cause to be directed an investigation into any matter or thing which, with respect to which it has power to make laws. And that is, the health is and the concurrent legislation for that matter. B,
That's our law.
the conduct of affairs of any person, authority, ministry, and in this case, Federal Ministry of Health, or government department charged or intended to be charged with the duty of or responsibility for executing or administering the laws enacted by the National Assembly, and in this case, the 2021 budget.
2020, no, 2020.
2020 budget, 2020 budget. Two, disbursing administrative monies appropriated or to be appropriated by the National Assembly.
That's it now.
These are the things we are looking for. You know, this is why we anchor whatever thing we are doing here. And we want to be properly guided, that you give us, furnish us with this information, so that once we have all this information, we'll invite you for another meeting. When we do this in the joint committee meeting, we meet appropriately to, so that we can take all these things one by one and then resolve this matter, so that nobody will be misled. And will there be value for money for whatever thing the project provided in the 2020 budget that has been extended to March 31st.
If you recall, Co-Chairman, this idea before the amendment was during the midterm review of the PTF at NIA, when we had that conversation and discussion and said, as we are not even thinking about only COVID-19, that we should use this opportunity as part of our infrastructural development to ensure that vaccines will produce. I remember Dr. Nshelia spoke extensively on what was happening in VOM and so on and so forth. That was why this idea came up. That's number one. Number two, like distinguished said, this National Assembly, our last information as far as COVID-19 was concerned was on the 21st day of December, when we met your team and all the extemporaries of finance, of Minister of Finance. And the last presentation made to us was for Nigeria to procure COVID-19 vaccines, which NPCDA worked on. NPCDA submitted subsequently to the National Assembly, including the leadership, necessary documents towards that. The next thing we were waiting for was, as soon as we resume now, for us to have the necessary budget and supplementary budget that will support Nigeria procuring. So we were surprised, and that's why media are asking us. I was on the television that Nigeria is producing vaccine, and I said, I'm not aware we are providing money to produce COVID-19. I've not been briefed about any R&D and so on. So we are not, just to clear, those are the two historical things. But based on this and based on the current submission, I want to suggest, move rather, Mr. Chairman, that the first thing is that this money release, we write finance and so on, should be stopped from being spent until we get satisfactory answers. And what are those satisfactions? One, we want to see the MOU and study it. Two, we want from you a detailed plan of what manufacturing, what the 10 billion will be used for as manufacturing. We will now, after we have studied it, we'll call you back if you have necessary question before we leave that ban and embargo. We will write to finance, we will write to you. You have the release, but we don't have satisfactory answer as of now, and I so move.
Yes, seconder.